One more thing about functions is, like I previously mentioned, you can also create your own functions. We look at the format to see how we should be structuring our declaration of our function. It starts with a function, and then we give our function a name. After we've given our function a name, we open and close some brackets. Now later on you can see you can pass values to a function using these brackets. I'm not going to show you right now, but that's coming up. So after we've declared our function, given it a name, and given it what it needs to know it's a function, we also need to set up the beginning and the end of our function with what is called curly braces, I call them. So here we have created our own function. Now this is not a built-in function into Unity, we just made this. So unless we call our function, it is never going to happen. First of all, let's just put something in our function. So now our update doesn't have anything in it, just a bunch of comments. All that debugging is now been put into the function we've created. So how do we call that function? We'll simply call it by name. Wherever we want to call it, we add the name of our function, and again our brackets, and if in future when we are sending a value to our function, this would be where we add our value, and then use a semicolon to pull that off. So if we save that out, have a quick look. So function runs every loop. Within the function update is going to call do something. So let's see if we get the same result as we've had before. It does do something, get called. Save that script, let Unity compile it, or save all your old, clear all your old information, and run the game. So it looks like we're getting the same console as before. That's not quite accurate. Double click on that. We're not in the update function anymore. We're in the do something function. So let's check that. Of course, we've changed our script. So clear and start again. Pause it. Because indeed, we are in the do something function. So just to finish off functions, that is how you make your own function, and that is how you call a function. Now we've been playing around with a few things in scripts. I hope you can see some pieces starting to fall into place. So let's expand a bit on different types of variables. So here you see I've particularly mentioned these variables that are declared outside of a function are called global variables. And I also showed that in the inspector we can see our global variables. There they are. Now, you can assign variables, global variables, to be public or private. What does this mean? A public variable is a variable that is open and exposed. For example, it can be seen in the inspector. And that also means other scripts in future will be able to see the public variable. So if we add public, you see now by default in Unity's JavaScript, when you just declare a var, it is public variable. So we can just understand exactly what's going on. This is a public variable. It is exposed to the inspector and it is exposed to other scripts. So what about a private? Let's see what happens there. So private variable is now float. So we save that script out. Remember, we have integer, float, string. What's the inspector? We have integer, we have string, and float has disappeared. It has become hidden to us. It has become private. Private variable is exclusive to the script itself. We can still call my float from within a function, but another script outside cannot see that variable. It is private. Just like in the inspector, it is hidden. This is useful when you're writing scripts and you end up with a lot of global variables. There'll be some variables you want the people to change, for yourself to change in the inspector, and there'll be some variables that you want left alone. There'll be some variables that you need for calculations for different functions. They will hold a value, say between the update and then the fixed update. You want to remember a vector 3. You would store it in a private variable. It's nothing that can be changed outside. It's just something we want to remember for ourselves privately in the script. So that we have public and private variables. There is another one that you will hear of. It is called a static variable. Now this is a special case, and honestly you should not be touching anything static for now. That will come along and I'm more than happy to explain it, but we have to get through the basics first, and then it will be so much clearer and easier to understand when you have a foothold of these basic scripting references. So we have declared variables, we have assigned variables, and we've also learned a bit about typecasting variables. Okay, so different variables though. Again, we could find another sort of variable. We have global variables. We can also have local variables. Okay, so let's declare and assign a variable. Variable, it's a new integer. So it is of type, to typecast. It is of type int, and let's give it a value of 4. Now what is different about this variable? This is declared inside a function. So that makes it not global. What's going to happen here is when we get to the end of this function, this local variable that has been declared within a function, it will be destroyed. So we'll get to this part of the script here and it will be gone, even if we popped it in the update. See how I've renamed, but I also typecast because I'm going to make this a float. So I have typecast to float. So even in an update, if we declare a new local variable within a function, update keeps happening, but as soon as we get to the bottom of update, it finishes, and then it starts its next cycle. This variable is destroyed. It doesn't exist. So if I was in do something, and I said, hey, function do something, let's new float, let's add to new float 1.25. Now, this is a local variable. It is declared within a function. Let's save that and see what Unity says about that. Oh, we have a warning here. Even if we clear, we have a warning. Unknown identifier. Now, if we double click on that message, it will take us. It says new float. Unity doesn't understand what new float is, but we said it's a variable. No, it is a local variable. It only exists once that function runs within the function. Okay, so that clears up what I was saying about global variables and local variables. These global variables can be seen by all functions. And if you declare them public, they can be seen by other scripts. If you have a local variable, it cannot be seen by other functions, and it most certainly cannot be seen by other scripts. There is local and global variables.